message for Lisa. It was nearly 2 weeks later that Lisa arrived at college to find there was a message for her. The voice teacher, Pete, said she would have to go up to the head office to collect it. Lisa wanted to know what was in the message and who it was from, but the voice teacher insisted it was confidential. Can't you just tell me? Lisa pleaded, but Pete jutted his chin and said he was only obeying the rules. Lisa stretched her eyes at him. She had been brought up to be wary of anyone who believed in rules. The head office was on the third floor. Lisa's fantasies grew with each turn of the stairs. Each flap of swing door brought sweeter and sweeter thoughts of her and Quentin's reconciliation. It occurred to her only a second before she slid through into the dusty light of the office that Quentin had no way of knowing that she was at college. And even if he did, it was unlikely he would know which college she was at. Lisa, the head of the department, was talking to her. Someone has been looking for you. Lisa's change of heart was so severe it took her breath away. Advertising in Britain. What does it say about a nation that when a national newspaper recently set out to establish the best television adverts of all time? As many as 10,000 people responded. The answer lies in the fact that the British have developed an intense admiration for a genre that has developed into an art form in its own right. In 1955, when Gibbs Ash Air toothpaste broadcasted first TV commercial, it was inconceivable that ads would never end and end up being considered as sophisticated and innovative as the programs surrounding them. Yet by 1978, the author Jonathan Pryce was able to declare, "Financially, commercials represents the pinnacle of our popular culture artistic expression. More money and thought per second goes into their making and more cash flows from their impact than is the case for any movie, opera, stage play, painting or videotape." Sax Supremo, Courtney Pine. Courtney Pine is a restless man. Having arrived home only a few hours earlier from a concert in Milan, he is spending the morning with numerous music journalists, intent on discovering just what to expect when his much anticipated live show comes to town. The saxophonist responsible for placing British jazz on the map has a list of achievements that would be the envy of lesser musicians. After forming the seminal Jazz Warriors in the early 1980s, Pine released the first in a string of critically and commercially successful albums before founding the Habibi Arts Foundation, which guides inner city youngsters into the world of jazz. Mr. Pine has always been very busy and shows no sign of relenting. Fortunately for the lazier amongst us, we have always had the luxury of sitting back and enjoying the fruits of these efforts. Never one to be pigeonholed, Pine has constantly challenged the critics and the public's perception of who he is. I have always taken my own route and had my own ideas about where I wanted to go musically. Jamie. I have been visiting the shipyard for several months now, and Jamie was always my first point of contact. I never knew a man to talk as much or as quickly. Before you would even finish greeting him, Jamie would launch into a detailed account of the latest negotiations. He was tireless and tiring. You could meet him first thing in the morning, feeling full of bounce, and in an hour he would have you against the ropes through sheer force of personality. When Jamie started to speak, enough energy radiated from him to hold 1,000 men spellbound. As he walked around the yard, I hurried too. Keep up with him. I am running late now. You will have to talk to me on the way, he would say, racing from one office to another or heading down to the welding shed. Will you slow down? I once pleaded. I can't, son. If I slow down, the whole thing slows down. We only survive by being one step ahead. Complete knowledge in science. The idea of complete knowledge is a tempting pie in the sky. Although it appears in some commentators' minds as the obvious goal of science, it is a concept completely absent from contemporary scientific writing. It is, however, the hallmark of many varieties of pseudo-science, just as it pervaded countless ancient myths and legends about the origin and nature of the world. These stories left nothing out. They had an answer for everything. They aimed to banish the insecurity of ignorance and provided a complete interlinked picture of the world in which human beings played a meaningful role. They removed the worrying idea of the unknown. If you were at the mercy of the wind and rain, it helped to personify those unpredictable elements as the character traits of a storm god.